Okay, if you are planning on buying the new Canon EOS R5 or the R6, I'm gonna suggest that you skip out on the kit lens.
I don't mind if you don't listen that much, but some of y'all don't listen at all. The same shit they be pushing, yo.
This lens, my friends, is the RF 35mm 1.8. It's the lens that you're looking at me through right now. Don't get me wrong, this is a good lens. This is a fantastically sharp lens, and I've gotten some use out of it, but I recently bought this 35mm about a month ago now, and I have been using it non-stop, and I'm gonna tell you why. This brings me to my first point, is this 35mm is so versatile. It's incredible. Let me show you all the ways you could use it.
I don't mind if you don't listen that much, some of y'all don't listen at all. The same shit they be pushing, yo, but got a grown man having withdrawals. I don't mind if you don't listen that much, though I just mind what you say for the crowd. Cause some of y'all don't listen at all. Some of y'all don't answer that call.
There's one thing that I haven't even mentioned yet, and that, my friends, is the fact that this lens, check it out, is a macro lens. I'm just gonna let it refocus on my face here. It's a macro lens, which is great because that means you can get really up close to things like flowers or bugs or snowflakes, eyeballs. It's pretty damn impressive. The minimum focus distance of this lens is 17 centimeters or 6.7 inches. That's how close you can get to an object and it will be in focus. The macro abilities of this lens is incredible for both photo and video. You can get super close up to things and get very creative video shots. This is really, really not straight. Okay, I think we could talk a little bit about the aperture and the specs of this lens. By the way, I'm shooting on a 14mm lens right now. Manual. What up, man? This is Arian. Go ahead. The 35 widest aperture is f1.8, which means it's really great for low light photography or videography. On top of that, it's also stabilized, which means you can shoot at lower shutter speeds and you're gonna get rid of all that hand motion. Hand jitters, whatever you wanna call them. Stabilization will come in handy if you're doing some kind of creative shot with motion blur in the background and you want your subject to be sharp. So what I was just doing was literally walking behind him on his boosted board, and I was taking shots at 1/10 of a second.
You never go that low.
I never go that low. But with stabilization, I was able to go that low. How's that clementine?
That's good.
It's good? Is it a tangerine or a clementine?
I don't know, I just realized.
We don't know if it's a clementine or a tangerine. If you know, let me know in the comments. By the way, speaking of rain, the downside of the 35mm is that it's not weather sealed. You know, you're paying a cheaper price, which I'll talk about later, but you're not really getting weather sealing. So you don't want to go into rain like this. Oh man, it's really coming down now. Whew. Good thing we're safe in here. So, the 1.8 aperture. At 1.8, it's super sharp. I think Canon's really nailed it with the RF lens line in general. In the past, usually you'd want to stop down a little bit, close the aperture to get a sharper shot. Now you don't really have to worry about it. However, I did find that if you want the sharpest shot possible, you're going to want to shoot at f4 on this lens. How long have we been here?
An hour?
I wanted to finish the vlog somewhere else. That sucked yesterday. On the bright side, well, it's bright out now, it's beautiful. I'm just gonna pause right here for a quick second and say that my channel is not sponsored by anyone. Really, it's sponsored by you in a way, because watching this video supports me. Hitting the like button, that really supports me. It really makes a difference, by the way, for us small creators. Anyways, let's talk about the form factor of this lens. Come on, we cannot talk about this lens without talking about the size. This is the smallest lens in the RF lineup. This is what you're gonna wanna use as a carry around lens, and this is why I think you should buy this lens over the 24-105, because this one is just lightweight and it's easy to take with you anywhere you go, especially paired with like the EOS RP or the R, whatever. This is the smallest possible Canon mirrorless package you're gonna get. It's way easier to take these on a hike or on a day trip wherever you go, rather than having to lug around a lens that's like 3 times bigger than this one and probably 3 times heavier too. Now, this is not really something that has to do with particularly this lens, but it has to do with prime lenses in general. Let's have a talk about that. So choosing a prime lens when you're starting photography over a zoom lens is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself. By choosing a specific prime lens like the 35mm we're talking about, you can learn to imagine the shots at specific focal lengths and kind of compose the shots before you even bring your camera up to your eye. And with zoom lenses, you never really get to master a specific focal length, and rather you're just zooming in and out until you find something. Oftentimes you don't even know the focal length you're shooting at. So in this case, by specifically choosing the 35mm, you'll be able to use it all the time and master that focal length. And I would say that 35mm is probably the best focal length to start at, because it's not too wide, it's not too tight, and as I said in the beginning of the video, it's super versatile. You can use it in many scenarios. On top of all that, prime lenses have less moving parts than a zoom lens, which in the end makes them a lot cheaper, makes the glass a lot sharper, and also often go down to wider apertures, so letting in more light and being more useful in low light situations. The last point I want to make about this lens is the price. You can't beat the price. We are back. Welcome back to my humble home. This time though, the camera's straight. $499, $449, sometimes on sale, US dollars. For this lens, the versatility that I talked about in the beginning of the video, the stabilization, the low light capabilities, the macro capabilities. Honestly, I think it's a steal, and I think it's the best lens that you can get for the EOS R system at the moment. You could go with the kit lens, either this L version or the non-L version, which is a little bit cheaper. It's like $550. The only thing about these lenses is they start at f4, and the non-L version, as you zoom in, you end up at f7.1. You don't really get that bokeh. You don't really get that feeling of having a very pro camera until you get the bokeh and the sharpness out of this lens. I've had it for a month now, and it's on my camera 90% of the time. The other 10% is my 14mm when I'm vlogging. And that's it, guys. This is the lens that I use all the time, and this is the lens I am so happy that I bought it. It was the greatest decision of my life. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate that you've come this far into the video. Please leave me a like, that really helps us small creators. Subscribe, ring the notification bell. And remember guys, down in the description, I put a link to Amazon. It is an associate link. I get a small cut, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. And you get to support me for helping you make the decision to purchase this lens. So I know you're gonna like it, and yeah, that's all I have to say. So I will catch you in the next video. Can't wait to see you. Peace.